Hey everyone, it is Dr. Rowe, the Starch Lady with friends. You can't see them, but I know they're there. I can hear their voices. So we are excited to share a couple of videos with you today from an interview I did earlier this week, as well as a new recipe that I'd like you to try. And we'll get started. Carolyn, I know you're at work, so let me let you get that out of the way so you can mute and do your thing. So tell me about your week and how things are going for you.
Well, let's see. Ever since that video we watched, the interview you had with the two Canadian girls there, we for that discussion about digestion and everything, I decided, because I know that obviously regular oats are not gluten-free necessarily, and I've been eating them a lot, that I was going to take a break from that and see if it makes a difference. I have only just started since, I think it was the 4th. So I'm going to kind of track it and see how things go. But I did manage to find myself a bag of gluten-free oats. They're kind of pricey though for the size that I got. So I'm not going to be using them every morning like I used to for oatmeal. Probably once a week, maybe make muffins or waffles or something.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm excited to see if that makes a difference.
Did you get the Bob's Red Meal, or did you find a different brand?
I think Bob's Red Meal is pretty small, I think. I couldn't find it. But anyways, my own local grocery store had a 1 kilogram bag. It's called Only Oats. It's some kind of Canadian oats that are gluten-free. Okay. And it cost $11.
Wow. And if you want a real bang for your buck, buy some oat groats. They are so chewy. You can only eat just a small cup of them and you are stuffed. And your jaw gets a good workout, but such a chewy, nutty kind of a change up as well. So yeah. Great to have Diane join us. Thank you. Awesome. You look great. So I told the girls to keep you in their prayers, but I didn't tell them what was going on. I told them that was not my place to do. So if you want to share your story, you can, or if you want to skip it, you can, whatever you want.
I can tell them, just be forewarned, I might lose my internet because I got this weather coming outside my window.
Okay.
Guess it was Thursday night. I got out of my car for picking up the dog medicine and I couldn't stand up. So I sat down on a chair in the garage and it kind of passed. I walked to the house and sat down on a chair in the kitchen. I couldn't stand. I absolutely could not stand up. So I called Phil and told him to come out my house. I called him back and said, get out here, let the dogs out. I gotta call the squad. And I did. I was carted off in the ambulance and they said I had a stroke.
Wow. You look fantastic. You know, usually when somebody has a stroke, they're like half droopy. How's your strength? How's your balance?
Strength is good. The only problem I had was my balance is kind of off. I got PT coming twice a week. So, but I'm a lot better than I was a couple of days ago. I mean, I was not a good specimen a few days ago.
Well, when you called me from the hospital, you were making me laugh. So you remind me of Samantha when she was in the hospital, and she had more jokes than a stand-up comedian. So I appreciated that.
Those damn doctors, I'd like to strangle them all. God.
Yeah, they ain't got a clue.
No. I left against medical advice too, because they were trying to give me a drug I had told them I had an adverse reaction to. And this stupid flipping nurse just didn't tell me what she was doing, just plugged me into it. I said, what are you giving me? She told me, I said, no, I told you I had an adverse reaction to that. I said, well, I can't stop. I said, well, then find somebody who can.
Exactly.
It's fine. I had to check myself out. It's like,
wow. Get it off. I mean, that's horrible. So she never got somebody to authorize to unplug it because of your reaction.
She finally unplugged it, but she said, well, this gave me a whole bunch of bullshit. I said, look, she said something funny. I have to slam myself out if I don't want to have the treatment. I'm like, fine, give me the form, get me the hell out of here.
Right. Wow. Well, I'm so glad you're doing better. Did they give you any indication what might have happened? Did something get, jiggled loose, or did something, because your diet's been really good for this last year and a half?
I had the atrial fibrillation and I'm not a blood thinner. Sometimes a blood thinner doesn't work.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the only thing they could attribute it to.
Okay.
Well, I'm
Well,
glad you're okay.
Yeah,
Me
we're glad to
too.
have you with us, and
It was
you
no fun.
fantastic. So that's good news. We're still going to keep you in your prayers, though. You're stuck with some prayers. So
Yeah, please do. Please do, because this ain't over yet, I'm sure.
yeah, we'll keep you in our prayers and see what we can do to help you through that. But this is kind of one of those little this is when you got to be really good. You know, this is when you that subtle reminder, okay, not so subtle reminder that okay, I've got to make sure that what I'm eating is perfect, because if I've got this other condition that causes issues, I've got to be so perfect on this side with the diet and the hydration that becomes minimal, and that's not going to contribute and become a factor. So the no meat, no dairy, no oil thing becomes very critical for you, especially when you watch those Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn videos that tell you about having zero fat in your diet if you do not want to have cardiovascular disease. And cardiovascular disease is caused by blockage the same way that brain issues are caused. So that's a real tough one. Now, when I get a tingling on one side of my face or the back of my skull, it's usually because my C2, 3, or 4 is out of place. I go to the chiropractor and it fixes the problem again. But short of a chiropractic adjustment, it'll scare the living bejeebas out of you when half your body starts going tingly and the other side feels fine. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it feels like a purring cat, you know, almost. It's like you don't know what that vibration is, but it's happening, you know. So, all right. Well, Samantha, tell us what you got going on over there in Puppyville. Did you get rid of your last little girl? She's unmuting. I feel it coming. Oh, look, Joanne's coming.
Totally forgot to unmute. Sorry.
There you go.
I still have a little boy and a little girl.
You do. I'm so tempted to get that little girl, but now that I brought my cat in the house, I think I might have gotten that out of my system a little bit, because she's snuggly wuggly, and I can leave her for extended hours of time because she has her own little litter box. So I think I'm going to try the cat thing for a little while, and I'm just loving it. She's not allowed in my office because there's carpet in here. She's not allowed in my bedroom because there's carpet in there. And so we keep the doors closed, but she does go on the ottoman in the living room. We put a sheet on it and her little toy and stuff. But she does like to come on the couch. So I'm that lady. I've got towels on my couch and I've got a sheet on my ottoman. And if anybody comes over, I'll have like 5 seconds to grab all that and throw it in the laundry room. But I did keep her in the laundry room last night with her favorite fluffy, silky, smooth pink towel that she came with as a little kitten. And she recognized it right away and just went right to it and just fell right to sleep. So she's got plenty of room in the laundry room. It's quite big. Her food and water's in there. And then off of that is a bathroom where her litter box is. And I only had to show it to her twice and she knew where to go. So can't sign that up with a puppy. You know? You're chasing them around with scoopers and cleaners for the first year of their life. So I also have another thing that I've noticed. The difference between cats and dogs is every time the door opens, the cat's trying to come in and the dogs try to get out. So there's that difference too. So she is totally happy being inside right now. So anything new on your dietary explores this week, Samantha? Did you freeze? Oh, lost her. I see Joanne popped in. Joanne, we set this 2 o'clock meeting just for you. And here you are gracing us with your appearance for the second time. We are so happy. So tell us about your week, love. Can you hear me? Oh, there she is. Hi, sweetie.
You make me feel bad.
No, I don't want you to feel bad.
You can change at any time.
No, we're keeping it right there just for you. So just join us. That would be more fun.
Thanks.
So how are you doing? You getting ready for your trip?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Kind of.
My
How do
guys
you
are
know?
heading to you. My guys are headed to you, but I know you're after Diane. She's in Ohio. You're in Baltimore, right?
No, I'm in Delaware.
Delaware. And so I know you're on the tail end of the July portion, I believe. So, but exciting for them to be able to see you. If you guys need to talk to me while you're there, while they're there or whatever, but
Well, remember, we won't be there.
oh, that's right. You're leaving us
We won't be.
secret passageway. So we're excited.
Yeah.
Care of it. So, all right. How's your weeks, months going? How's it been for you? Are you doing good on the starch solution? Are you eating your oil?
I'm not the best, I'll admit.
You're trying.
I did get COVID a couple of weeks ago and really haven't had much of an appetite since then. I can
Ah,
still taste and smell.
Thank
And I got a really light taste, just mostly fatigue.
yeah, you know, we had that long version and still every afternoon, like right after this class, I'm going to find myself dragging from about 3 to 4 every day. And it's been 6 months. And I still have like a 3 to 4 PM kind of a lull that I just really have to either push myself to stay through, or if I do take a nap, and I try to listen to my body, if it needs a nap, it's going to take one. But I have to set an alarm or I will sleep until 7 o'clock and then I won't be able to go to sleep until 2 in the morning. And then I got this other thing going on. And so if I do take a nap, I have to really limit myself to like 1 hour max. And then I'm good to go again. But you have to listen to your body and not push it too far. You're out in the yard now that the weather's better. I'm out in the yard and the weather's never going to get better. It's Texas, but I have found my little sweet spots in the morning and my sweet spot in the evening.
Yeah.
And we have where the house is situated. It was kind of on a little bit of a hill because there's this creek. It's a dry creek right now, but it's a seasonal creek. So we're kind of up on a little bit of a hill and that creates kind of a whoosh. And so I get a really nice breeze in the morning. I get a really nice breeze in the evening. And that makes a huge difference unless I'm on the rider lawnmower. And then I have my goggles and my mask and my shield on so nothing flies up and hits me. And then I'm just, you know, a dripping sweat and mess by the time I get off of that thing. So I haven't been using the far infrared sauna because I'm sweating like a, you know, racehorse outside. So I just learned about cows this week. I did not know that cows can be fluffy. If you washed a cow and scrubbed it up, it would be fluffy. So all those matted down cows you see out in pastures is because they're just full of dirt and oil and sweat.
Oil.
greasy gopher guts or whatever they call it. Gopher guts. But if you give them a bath, they fluff right up. It's like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I want to go give all the cows a bath in the pastures next to me. So line up, cows.
Do you have people that have show fear or something that told you that? Like,
well, I can't
why
remember
would anybody
what,
bath their cow?
I can't remember what happened, but I saw one. I said, what the heck is that? And I started looking into it. And it's like, all they did was bathe it. And it's like, who would have thought? Big difference.
That happens to me too.
Yeah, my hair's fluffy right now, but you should have seen it when I came in this morning. So yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if you saw it yet, JoJo, but I have my cat in the house after all these years.
I heard.
So
No.
I am enjoying that.
All the years you've been allergic to cats and now you're not?
Yeah, so I mean, I was so deathly allergic to cats that my lips would turn blue, my fingernails would turn blue. I'd have to take drugs before I went into clients' houses that had cats. I even had a little trouble at your house last year, didn't I, Diane? Just even with the wiry haired dogs, I still have an issue with that. I have to have like a hypoallergenic type dog. And so I have always had this herb for many years now that I've given my clients that had allergies and mostly seasonal allergies and things. Nobody's really come to me with like pet allergies because they knew it was a pet, you know, or whatever. But when we identified that they had a seasonal allergy, there was this herb that I get. It's a combination herb that is excellent for allergies. And the best way to take it is you take 3 capsules and open them and dump them into like a little shot glass worth of water. Stir it around and then hold it under your tongue for about a minute. I gargle with it and then you swallow it. And I've been
What does
teaching
it taste like?
forever. It tastes like a kind of like a tea, but it's gritty because it's got the, the little powder and stuff in there. I guess a little bit of a, I think fenugreek is one of the herbs in there. So it has a little bit of a fennel kind of a flavor to it, which I don't find offensive. I think fennel to me tastes like licorice, and I love licorice. So I will chew on raw fennel just because. Anyways, but it doesn't taste bad. But I only did it once a day for 2 weeks when I first got her, and she was an outdoor cat, but I didn't want her to feel lonely out there in the chicken coop while she was waiting to get fixed. And I gave her this 2-story chicken coop to live in. But she wanted to be held. And so I'd go out there, I'd put on my raincoat, I'd put on gloves, and I would take my eye drops, and I would go out there and I'd hold her and love her for a minute, then come in and take a shower. Well, I did that for 2 weeks. And one day I went out there and I could hear her just softly, wanting attention. And I didn't have my garb on. And I said, oh, what the heck? I'm going to take a shower in a minute anyways. I went over there and held her. And I didn't start wheezing, which is my first reaction, is wheezing. And I thought, weird. Went out the next day with just eye drops in. Nothing happened again. And then we got her fixed, and I didn't have any trouble toting her in the little carrier in the car, because normally carrying a kennel in the car was too much. And she just has become the most loving outdoor cat ever. And she wants to come in because it's freaking hot out there. And so when my husband and technician left yesterday on their coast to coast trip, and I'm staying back to take care of the homestead, I got too much lawn and fruit trees and garden to take care of. I don't think they got off the driveway, and I was bringing her in. It's like, okay, girl, I need company. And so I brought her in, and my son Justin's here. We gave her a bath. We shined her all up, and she has been loving it, absolutely loving it. So
Wow.
I'm cat spoiled right now. So we'll see how it goes, but she's been in here for over 24 hours and I haven't had a single issue. And she just, she came up on me sitting on the couch yesterday and nuzzled right up into my neck. And then she started kneading me. And I heard that's like a sign of affection. She was just sitting there, just, kneading my arm and my upper chest here and stuff. It was so cute. It was like she was saying,
wow.
I love you.
So do you sell that herb combination, or where do you buy it?
I can send a link to you, and you can get it right from the supplier that I get it from. It's a site that normally sells to practitioners, but if you put in my code, they'll let referrals with that code get it, and you can have it shipped right to your house. And it's not expensive at all. It comes in a liquid, and they have it in the powdered capsule form, but you could take the capsules. But for the most immediate reaction, you want to pop them open and drop them in a little bit
you
of
find
water.
that works for seasonal allergies as well?
Absolutely.
Wow.
That's what it was originally, marketed for. It works for all of them. And it's all natural. There's no weird, histamine drugs or anything in it. It's completely, you can look at the ingredients and see they're 100% herbs. So I'll send you that link after we get done here. Note to self, herb link to JoJo.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Today we have 2 videos. And I say videos because I found that my interviews go much quicker if I don't have a lot of interruptions for them. And it lets us kind of get to the point, and then we can discuss them afterwards. And we have a personal trainer that we're going to talk to for just a few minutes. And then I have a recipe for you. So stay tuned. We're going to go ahead and do a screen share. And I can pop this up here. Let me get my optimization. And we share. Let me go over here. Let me see if I can find it, because I always have to open a new thing. I haven't figured out why that is. Let's see if it'll let me. Oh, there it is right there. All right. We have Marcus Sanchez. Tell me if you can hear him. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the StarchLady.com. I am here today with a special guest speaker, Marcus Sanchez. I met him a long time ago at a networking event, and we kind of knew we wanted to connect. And he is the personal trainer for a friend of mine that's also in my BNI group. And I am just so excited to share him with you today. During the pandemic, he figured out how to make this virtual thing work for him. And so not only does he have a studio here in the San Antonio area, if you're local, but he also has the ability to train anywhere in the world virtually. If you got a computer with a camera or a cell phone with a camera, and you know you do, you are going to be able to work with Marcus. And I'm so excited. So Marcus, tell us about you and how you got started in all of this.
Yeah, great. First of all, thank you, Dr. Rowe, for having me. It was a pleasure meeting you and getting to know more about what you do and the lives you have helped and how you do it. Specifically, looking at blood and, all of those as your health parameters. But a little bit about myself. I, played sports through high school and college and really loved the sport with track and football, but I really fell in love with the off season and the working out and how the body changes and the adaptations. And so I turned around and got my bachelor's degree in exercise science and human performance. And within a few weeks after graduating, picked up a job as a personal trainer at a corporate gym, Gold's Gym specifically here in San Antonio, and was there for about 9 years, held, many different roles, but I primarily stayed in the fitness department because that's really, my passion and where, I just see myself having the most impact. And after the pandemic, went back to work after a few months of furlough and realized that, I would like to, start my own thing and, just have my own, philosophy, apply to my business. And so I started Fit Flex Training. And the whole purpose of it was to provide personalized but flexible programs because every body, every person is different. And I understand that. And, life happens and, we're all put together differently anatomical. Such as men and women were, put together differently, and everybody that you see, we have differences. And so, what I really like to promote is a program that's sustainable for you, and have the flexibility to do so. Because if you don't have the flexibility, or if it's not sustainable, you just won't keep up with it. So, I've applied that, and now I can work with individuals one-on-one. I can do, in person, virtual, I can just do maybe monthly follow-ups, provide you a program, we chat about it and you go from there, whatever it is that's going to help you sustain a healthy and fit lifestyle. So I've been doing this for over 10 years. Late October, it was October 2020, I started my business, Fit Flex Training, and been doing that ever since. And so it's been great, and I've seen some huge successes throughout my tenure, and it's just so exciting when I have a client come in and say, hey, I just lost two inches in my dress size, or hey, I just increased my my weights doing the bench press, whatever the case is. It's those small wins that I really look forward, and just turning around lives. And finding that starting point is where I really focus on, because we get to a point where we're just stuck in a rut, right? And we don't know that we need exercise, or we don't know what we don't know. And so finding out where your starting point is and making the right steps and the right progressions to get you from point A to point B is what I really focus on. So cater to you individually, and it's what I love to do.
So what's the minimum requirement? What would they have to have? Is it as minimum as just having a pair of tennis shoes or bare feet, or do they need to have, equipment and access to a gym? Tell us about that.
Yeah, very, very good question. The assumption, that I see is, well, I have to have all this equipment. I have to have a gym. And yes, it's great. Having extra tools is awesome, but I see your body as the machine. I see your body as the tool. So if you've got a pair of tennis shoes, or if you just, have a pair of socks, or you want to go barefoot, if you have your body, we can make a plan for you. I focus on the primary fundamental movements, and there's 5, okay, that I assess with everybody. And we all have these movements, right? It's your squat pattern. So we're gonna take a look at your squats and see where your starting point is on that. It's your push pattern, right? Your pull pattern, your hip hinge, which is just picking anything up off the ground, right? And then your core, okay? So you got flexion, extension, and rotation. So I assess those 5 movements. If you've got those 5 movements, we can work with you.
That's awesome. So explain a little bit more about the push-pull portion of that. That was a term I hadn't heard before. So that's new. Is that unique to you?
Yes and no. You know, when I first started off as a personal trainer, I wanted to accommodate to as many people as I could. You know, I wanted to help as many people as I could. And looking at your biomechanics, you know, I always, you know, everybody, we all push, we all pull, we all squat. So during my initial assessments, I said, hey, let me see a squat. How would you do it, Terry? How would you do it, Kim? Right. And then if we need improvements or if I see any imbalances, then we'll make the corrections, right? And I have everybody push. Okay. So we would do, for example, a push-up, right? And we do a modified push-up if needed. And then some sort of pull movement. So moving your body, pulling your body through space. Now, with the pushing and the pulling.
I lost you there. Can you hear me? Oh, I lost your sound, Marcus.
Let me see. I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, there's a delay in the video and there's a delay on the sound, but we'll get it corrected here. Go ahead. So
sorry about that.
I lost you right after you started to talk about the push pull.
Oh, push pull. Okay. So for example, a pushing pattern could be a push-up, right? It could also be an overhead press. It could also be a dip, right? Those all fall in the push pattern. So I take a look at either one of those, right? Another good example is pull, right? So pull straight forward, right? A seated row, or you can pull your body up as a pull up, or you can pull something up, right in front of you, okay? And then the squat is a squat, right? And so squatted pattern is, you know, something that, you know, has gotten away from us. But if you look at any primitive tribe, how they sit and chat and socialize and conversate, they're in the deep squat position.
They are. We lived in Japan for 3 years and everybody was, you know, always, that's their resting mode was just squatted, you know, sitting there at the side of their building or sidewalk or in front of their house or just to have a conversation. So it was very natural. And here's us, you know, American military people over there, and we're like standing erect, you know, like, like you want us to squat? You want us to sit on the sidewalk, really?
And it's so interesting with mobility, right? I have a newborn. He's about 6 weeks old, and I've got a 2-year-old. So we have the most mobility during infancy. It's, you know, the repetitive movements that we do throughout life that we either maintain that mobility or we lose it. And for the most of us, we don't sit in that deep squat, you know, as we move on through life, right? We're sedentary, we sit in a chair or we stand erect, right? And so we get back to the fundamental movements and your foundation. That is your foundation, the squat, the push, the pull, the hinge, okay? So picking up anything off the ground, and then your core, right? So I assess all of those in the initial, you know, consultation to kind of see where your starting point is at, because I want to make the small progressions to get you from point A to point B, right? In small little steps. So we're making the changes and we're not injuring ourselves and we're not hating it, right? Because if we don't like exercise, how sustainable really you know, is it?
Exactly.
So,
I actually saw something, and then you just brought it to memory about the newborns. Back when I was having babies, you know, my last one's 24 years old, but way back when, it just popped in my brain that they said if you got on the floor and you imitated the baby for even just 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, that you would get your pre-pregnancy, you know, body back again in no time, because those babies are, I mean, they're literally pivoting off their belly button and all fours are off the ground and going every direction, and or they're on their back, or they're using everything. And you just follow their patterns, and what a workout that would be. You couldn't keep up, you know, as an adult. So very simple things like that. So that's exciting. So if we just have a pair of tennis shoes or bare feet, we could get out and do some walking with you. Is that, you just take us on your phone and walk us through how to get that started? Is that what would happen?
That's right. Yeah. During the initial assessment, if we're doing a Zoom, you know, a virtual session, it's a little more difficult. So I would, you know, just have you set up, you know, in one area, and then I would just kind of move you around, and we'd check all 5 of those patterns. Let me see a squat. Let me see you push. Let me see you pull. Let me see you hinge, and then let's get on the ground. Let's do some core. Let me see, you know, what that looks like. And that's it. And after that, it gives me a pretty good idea of where you're starting at as far as biomechanics and functionality and mobility, right? And then I tie all those in, you know, to a quick circuit just to check your conditioning, right? If you've got a heart monitor with your smart watch or whatever that case may be, that's even better, because then I can kind of see where your heart rate is and the conditioning of your cardiovascular system as well.
Gotcha. Okay. So if I were to recommend somebody to go to, or even myself, what would be the cost and time involvement commitment to you? Is it set time every day? What is it? How walk me through me joining you to do this as a program?
Yeah, so let's take the scenario as a new client, right? You know, heard about me, you want to get started, you've got something going. I offer an initial, I guess call it an intro pack, right? So it's 3 sessions, right? And what we do is we do all those movements, and then we do maybe a little bit more on the second and third, just to kind of see, you know, single, you know, unilateral, whatever the case is, whatever you need specifically.
Mhm.
And during the initial consultation, you know, I determine what you're looking for, also what you need, right? And so what that looks like is we go through the first session, do the assessments, kind of get a baseline, and then, you know, make some progressions. And if there's any correctives that we need in there as well to help with those movements, we do that. That package is one-on-one directly with me, whether it's in person or it's via Zoom. Those 3 sessions come out to $150. So they're $50 per session. Okay. After that, if we decide to go with the program, you're looking at maybe anywhere from $300 a month to, you know, $700. If you're looking at it monthly, if you're looking at it per session, it can be anywhere from 65 to 85, just depending on the quantity, the frequency, you know, and all of that. So if you're looking for one-on-one, that's going to be kind of the rate. I do highly recommend, but it's not needed, highly recommend the intro pack, just so I get a little bit more information and data on you, right, to better, you know, program your workouts. If you decide to go with the group, that is totally fine. You do not have to do that 3 for 150, that intro pack, but it's highly recommended. So that way I know how to modify your exercises during the group classes.
Sure. And how long are these classes? Is this a 30-minute, 60-minute? What is it?
Preferably they're 60 minutes. I do offer a 30-minute, but I don't recommend those unless I've worked with you a little bit longer. But again, it's just a recommendation. If, you know, if we have a time constraint or, you know, funds, you know, money obviously is, you know, maybe we don't have the budget just quite yet, we can absolutely do 30-minute sessions as well.
And do you do anything with like groups? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, what if I got some of the clients to do the 3 initial pack, and if they like it, that we could actually meet together and motivate each other by meeting at the gym, you know, and working out together. Is that something that you offer?
Yeah, there's definitely some pros to having a buddy or a small group, or even, you know, a larger group for the accountability, for the competition and motivation with each other. But if we decide to put one of those together, you know, we can do it, you know, per session. I would rather per session, it would be at $25 per session, per person. So
Gotcha.
It really makes it more cost affordable. It gives you that environment, competitive environment, motivation environment, right? And we're all kind of working together, you know, towards a common goal.
It's kind of an accountability thing. When I do my weekly Zoom Meet and Eat Luncheons, the energy of the conversation increases because we're being able to just kind of bounce off of each other, and it's not just me lecturing. We're able to have a conversation and get to know each of the people a little bit more intimately, and what their challenges are. And so I always have them go through, how did their week go? How well did they stay on plan? And as we talked before, I teach a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. And I do that because of this little guy right here, and my one at the office that's like the size of a toddler. So I specialize in microscopic blood health. And I have found over the years, just from my training, but in actual applicable life, working with clients that have disease of every name, from the most horrific, you've got 90 days left to live kind of diagnosis, down to, you know, they've got a rash because they were in the garden and got, you know, some poison ivy or something, you know, anything that they come to me with, we can get to the root and we can improve just by a dietary change. And we prove that every day in the microscope. So with a drop of blood out of their fingertip, we can analyze what they've been eating and tell them what they've been eating without them opening their mouth and saying a word, because different foods will form different crystals in the body. And we don't want crystals in the blood. There's never a person on the planet that says, hey, you got some good crystals going on in your blood? That's not a thing. So if I see turquoise crystals floating in the blood, I know this person is not assimilating dairy, because dairy is the only thing that you can consume that would turn those crystals turquoise. Animal proteins are black crystals. Gluten type things are brown crystals. Infections are red. Environmental or blue. I mean, there's all these different things that we can just see what's going on. Not only that, but the actual shaping and concept of the blood. I don't know if you can see this here on screen, but see how these big crystals right here, that doesn't belong in the blood. Or how about these mutated cells right here? Does not belong. It needs to be round and smooth and floating freely like helium balloons, right? There's a bunch of gunk in the plasma here too, a bunch of yeast and bacteria going on. This is supposed to be red with black lines. If we can focus on that, look how that looks like it's raised like spackle on your wall, like you need to paint that or something. This person was told they had 90 days left to live and they were going into hospice. According to her oncologist, an incurable disease. Well, this is her blood just 2 weeks later. The blood cells have separated. There's just a little bit of yeast here in the middle. But look at the red with the black lines. That's what I was looking for the first time. So with that being said, as her numbers went from 6,500 to 44, I think it was, then down to 2,000, as it kept dropping and dropping, the oncologist actually asked me to come in and explain how I did that. You know, what was she doing to make that happen? And it came down to hydration and dietary changes and removing the foods that cause the rot and decay in the blood. And she got better. I mean, that's just how it works, you know, or like this one here. All we did was change his hydration in the 7 days from the 7th to the 14th. All the cells were stuck together here. It's called rouleau, which is a excessive protein in the blood. And here it is just a week later and how it improves. Not perfect, but which would you rather have making your blood cells and your tissue and organs? You know what I mean? And so when we get into teaching people like that, this is something that I can offer through the mail. I can't do the live because the live blood would have dried before it gets back, but I can do the dry blood sample and get a huge amount of information off of just the dry blood alone. For example, this one, just real quick, this is a dry blood sample here, and you don't need to go to school as long as I did to know that that doesn't look right. These polymerized protein petals here, again, is somebody who's eating excessive amounts of protein and their body's not able to assimilate it. And then here's their blood, the dry blood sample, just 30 days later, and how it improved. Not perfect, but it's getting there. Do you see?
Yeah.
So with that being said, the ability to help each other long distance, even with people around the world that, you know, they're getting in shape physically. I saw it on Instagram this morning, you know, on Facebook, the little TikToks pop up, and I wanted to scream. There's this man, and he's doing squats against the wall, and his legs were this big and just like 3 major sections of muscles. And then he goes over and he's lifting this, you know, 250-pound weight. And the caption says, you know, people ask me all the time how I can eat and do whatever I want all the time. And at age 50, have such a great physique. And it's like, oh my gosh, I got to see this guy's blood. He has no idea that he is cutting his life short, because if he's stressing his body to those extents and he's not taking care of the nutrients and observing what's going in to make those muscles, tissues, and organs, he is a heart attack, disaster, whatever, waiting to happen, you know? So how does dietary things play into what you do?
Those things right there excite me. And I'm really glad that we were able to connect and partner and collaborate, because I understand that, you know, health and wellness and fitness is more than just movements. You know, I consider myself the movement specialist, but I understand my boundaries. So I partner with, you know, other health and wellness professionals, such as recovery, nutrition, supplementation, and now, you know, you with more specific nutrition and your blood sampling, that, you know, all of these things, you know, play into a healthy lifestyle. And so with that, you know, I have created a network, you know, and so with us collaborating, you know, with our clients, and you are able to take a sample of their blood and really analyze and see, you know, what behaviors need to change and what habits need to change. You know, and as I spoke to you, you know, once before, you know, our bodies are built to move, right?
Yes.
We have muscles attached to our bones specifically to move. So when we move, good things happen. And when we don't move, that's when we started getting into our ailments and, you know, not so good things happen. So nutrition, I you know, do play, you know, do understand nutrition, and I do understand, you know, macronutrients. You know, I'm not a specialist by any means. I'm not a registered dietitian by any means. And so if, you know, any of my clients need some nutrition help, I give them guidance. But if it's something very specific and if they need, you know, somebody, I understand that that is, you know, outside of my scope, and I refer them to you, for example. And so nutrition, supplementation, recovery, you know, those are, you know, three of the primary, you know, components to, you know, fitness and a healthy lifestyle, is because you can bust your butt in the gym, but if you're not recovering and eating the right things to help your body repair and recover, you know, you're just taking a step backwards. So
Yeah, like 2 steps
that's
forward and 3 steps back if they're not doing that. Yeah,
Right,
I totally
exactly.
hear that. My other passion would be the hydration. And I was actually at a hospital with the mother of a client a few years back. And the doctor literally came in and told her that she'd go home and he wanted to drink fluids. And I said, well, can you specify for her that she needs to be drinking water? You know, that's our fuel. We're electric. We run on water and salt. And he literally said, this medical doctor literally said to her, I don't care what she drinks. Just go home and drink coffee, soda. I don't care. I just want some fluids in her. And I went, ah! You know, I was like, my hair stood up, and oh my gosh, I was like, you gotta be kidding. I says, would you like to repeat that for my book, please? I'm writing a book and I can't fix stupid, but I need to have that in my book. You know what I mean? And so it's like, oh my gosh, why would he do that? So he because he heard I was writing a book, he charged out of the room and he disappeared for like 3 hours, left us there. When he came back, he was the nicest guy. And he was telling her, you know, listen to your friend, drink water when you get home. It's like, okay, what happened to the weirdo that was here 3 hours ago? And I guarantee you, he spent the last 3 hours on the phone with his attorney saying, can she quote me in her book? Can she really do that? You know, and it's like, yes, she can. Go make nice, you know? And it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, and people don't understand that. And I get so stressed out when I go past, like, you know, I'm not going to name names, but, you know, those little shops on the corner that sell black stuff in a glass, you know, and and people line up early before work and they get 2 or 3. And it's like, oh my gosh, that all used to be money one time. I would love to have that money coming through there. But what they're doing to their cells, what they're doing to their adrenals, what they're doing to the lining of their stomach and their colon and their heart and their brain. I mean, there's so much that they don't realize. Yes, it's a thing that goes in my mouth. Yes, it gives me pleasure, but what are the consequences of that pleasure? And they don't know that until I show it to them in their blood. Again, they don't have to tell me, but I can tell if they're drinking soda. I can tell if they're drinking coffee. I can tell if they're drinking alcohol just by the way that the blood sample looks in the microscope, and it blows their mind and it empowers them to go, oh my gosh, what I eat and drink does matter. And I tell people I liken it unto a car. You know, I've got one car that takes premium and I've got one that takes the middle grade. And then we had another car that took the lower grade. But if I got to the pump and got confused or sidetracked and I put the wrong fuel in the wrong car, what happened to my car? It didn't work right? It didn't perform optimally. So when I tell people, when you put more than just water in your tank, for your hydration, you're not running optimally. And so that's been a really interesting concept for them. And I love to partner with people like yourself around the nation that can help promote that. And you know, I give referral bonuses. I love helping people to clean up their water and get their hydration back on track, and then their nutrition, and those things go hand in hand. And then we get the physical with you, because that is definitely not my forte. And I'm just now moving out to the country and trying to get them tennis shoes out a little bit more often, because, you know, I'm going to be 61 in a couple of weeks. And I do not want to be that person who's I see at the store that is leaning on things and using a cane because they can barely carry themselves around. I want to have that hip flexion. I want to have that movement and be able to get down and play with the grandkids. And as the side effect, I call it, when you start to get healthy, the side effect is your body starts to automatically lose extra weight that's on it. And so as the weight comes off, the desire to move and be more flexible is there. Now we just got to tone it up. So that leads me to my next question. How, Marcus, do you deal with loose skin? How do you deal with that one for your clients?
Well, one of the top ones is water.
There you go.
Believe it or not, staying hydrated. It is inevitable, as we age and, or if we lose weight too quickly that our skin can't catch up, but it will tighten up to a certain extent. Staying hydrated is probably the key component, the top key component to that, but also staying active. The contractility of what you do when you move, right, in your muscles, but also your skin and myofascia is doing that as well. So movement and hydration is what are going to be, and time, I should say. If for those who lose weight pretty quick and pretty rapidly, it will take some time for your skin to kind of bounce back. But staying hydrated and moving is going to help you get there faster. That's
right. And I noticed too that some of that is not only just the, a lot of it is the hydration, but being able to sweat, all these things tie together, all that as you're sweating, you're releasing hydration. So you have to, compensate for that and make it so it's a good balance. And then I know there's one exercise that I've really wanted to start getting into again. I've done it a few times and it's like, I just need to do it. I had knee surgery, so it's hard for me to get up and down sometimes, but it's the plank. And I've noticed that plank engages like everything, including your ear balls. Every inch of your body is engaged, not just the core, but every inch of you is holding you in that position. And there was another TikTok video. It was a mom and she was doing a plank next to her baby on the floor. And this baby couldn't have been 9 months old. And the baby literally got up on its toes and its hands and was doing a plank next to mom, this little itty bitty tiny baby. And it's like, we lead by example, parents, grandparents, neighbors and friends, we don't even have to have, little people watch this. We just need to be able to perform for ourselves, be accountable for ourselves. And that's probably the hardest part. That's why having somebody like you to show up and walk through. I could do videos on YouTube for free, but they're not going to hold me accountable. They're not going to see my form and say, hey, what are you doing there and they're on the floor? You're supposed to be up. The video doesn't see that on YouTube. You would see that because we're in a live interaction with each other. And I love that about this opportunity to work with you and share you with, my clients and loved ones. So what else would you offer us? What else would you want to tell us? And because I know you've got another client to get to, so I don't want to keep you all day.
Yeah.
I could talk to you for hours, Marcus.
I know this is what excites me. And just going back on, kind of what you're saying and what you do and what I do, what we do is for the most part an experience. You can't really touch it, you can't see it, you can't feel it. With yours a little more so because you got the blood sample, but a lot of people just don't know what they don't know. And it's not until you actually get in front of one of us, right, and that we kind of open their eyes and see, like, hey, for the past 10 years, you think you've been leading a healthy lifestyle, or moving, as much as you can. And you made a great analogy earlier, and the one that has stuck with me as far as movement is the day you stop moving is the day you stop moving. And you were referring to your age, getting older and don't want to have to use a cane. And if our bodies are so resilient and so adaptable that if we keep doing those things and make it a habit and doing them every day, we can extend our lives exponentially. It's just not knowing what to do is what I see the common issues when I speak to individuals. And so if there's anything that you can do just to keep moving, I'm all for it. I am not one to really kind of bash or talk down on like CrossFits or Tough Mudders or anything like that, because one, yes, do I have some opinions about them and think that, they could be better or, they could accommodate a little bit? Yeah, of course. But at the same time, hey, that person is moving. That person is, and if you're moving, you're wanting to get to a point where you're still seeing results. And so you're going to say, well, hey, can I clean up my nutrition? Hey, can I clean up my blood? Hey, can I recover better? Hey, are there any supplementations that'll help, enhance, what I'm seeing? And so it all kind of has a snowball effect. And, I just highly encourage everybody just to get moving, just to, have an initial consultation with you, just to kind of, identify the unknowns, right? And just, kind of see, where you're at in time, where you're at this day and how you can make those, small progressions to improve.
Right. And little tips that we can give them for everything from pain, because some people is like, no pain, no gain. They're afraid to go to that pain spot. But if they knew that if they were properly hydrating, if they were properly sweating, that lactic acid leaves their body and then they don't have the pain. Anytime your body has a pain, I don't care where it is, it's literally crying out saying, hey, water down here, please, and it's wanting you to give it that hydration. And the pain goes away like easily. A glass of water will take more for a pain than the aspirin that they took to go with that glass of water. Do you know what I mean? And it doesn't cause damage to the liver, and it doesn't cause damage to the kidneys by putting that pill in that glass of water, which is what their body was asking for all along. So education goes a long way. And I love that you and I are on the same page for that, to not just, hey, you've got to do this. I've been to gyms like that before. You got to do this, but with the education that tells me why I need to do that and what that's going to benefit me if I can get my body to move in this direction versus that direction, and so on and so forth. So I'm really excited. But thank you, Marcus. I know you got to get to another appointment, and I want to keep this.
Hey, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, so
we can do this all day.
we could, and I'm looking forward to doing this. My guys leave out on their nationwide filter change trip this weekend, and you and I have a date set up for when they're gone to get this started and make it happen. So I'm excited about that. All right, well, if you have any questions for Marcus, tell us how to get a hold of you. Tell us about your website. We didn't even get there yet. I know you're out of time. I want to go to your website.
No, you are good. You are good. I've got a website. It's www.fitflextraining.com. Spell that is FITFLEXTRAINING.com. There is a contact form in there. You can submit your name. It'll shoot me an email. I'll get back with you as soon as possible, either via email, phone call, or text message. I will also leave my cell phone number with Dr. Rose. So if you are in direct contact with her, she can give you that. Also, my email address is in there as well. So I look forward to helping anybody.
Should I go over there and show it to them real quick so they know what it looks like? I can do it real quick.
Yeah.
Let me go real quick and show it to them.
I still have a few minutes. You are good.
Okay, let's do that, because I want them to see. I'm a visual person, and if I don't see the logo and stuff, I think I'm on the wrong page. You know what I mean? So www.fitflextraining. There we go. Looks like this. It's going to have a black screen by Marcus Sanchez, and you'll have all his contact information there. And got some success stories and stuff, I'm guessing, on over here. Testimonials. Yep. Let's hit some of them testimonials, because that's where your bread and butter lies, right there. Happy customers. Look at all that. 5 stars. 7 years ago. Look at that. They've been with you for a long time. Look at that. That's awesome.
Also have Instagram and Facebook. It should be on there somewhere, maybe under the contact.
So Instagram,
but there's an inquiry form.
Is it FitFlex? Yep, there it is right there. And you'll see this one with the little weight icon that he's got here, the FitFlex with the weight. You're looking for that icon there. And you can see several of his videos and posts here regarding how he's helping people just in such a tremendous, phenomenal way. Oh, bodybuilding right there. Oh, look at him before and after. That's amazing.
We've got some great clients that have seen some excellent results, and they just keep coming.
There's a person on Instagram that I've been following lately that during the pandemic, she lost almost 200 pounds in that 2-year period. And now she's doing competition bodybuilding, and
Wow.
to see the difference in her transformation is just incredible. So that was that. We got YouTube. Is there a YouTube channel too?
Not at the moment, but I'm
now-
working on that.
So Instagram and then
Yep, it's-
Facebook. I think you're on Facebook too, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see. So if we go over here to Facebook, what does that look like? So we're going to look for FitFlex training. Will it come up? There it is. Get this moved out of the way. I can get to it. There we go. And make sure that you go and like and join his page there and follow along with the information that he's sharing with you on a regular basis. So I love these kind of things with the before and afters, and the confidence that comes when somebody's able to make that's only 4-month progress, and look how much better she looks there.
Yeah.
So, and it's not just about look, it's all about the whole experience and feeling and improving.
That's
and
right.
all of that. Mindset is huge. I get so frustrated with people that take the shortcut and think that a bypass surgery is going to get that weight off of them, but they didn't learn anything valuable that's going to sustain them through life. And within a matter of months or a couple of years, they've gained back so much of that weight because they didn't learn anything new, you know?
That's right. Yep.
So definitely want to give you kudos for that. I'm going to pop this back here. So you got the visual on that of how to find Marcus. You've got his contact information there. Reach out to him and make this 2022 your year. And we look forward to having you back as a guest again soon. And you can see, we can discuss the before and after Dr. Rowe. Okay.
That's right. That's right. All right, Dr. Rowe. Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you so
All right.
much. And you have a good day.
Thank you so much. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Let me get this off screen here. All right, so that was a lot of information there about Marcus and his ability. If you caught the pricing, what he was suggesting was a 3 personal one-on-ones. It's a package he offers for a discount of $150. So it's $50 a session, which is a lot of money. It really is. So you got some skin in the game. But then after that, if we wanted to do it as a group, instead of paying that $300 or $700 a month thing, which is just not happening in my lifetime, he's offering it for $25 a session, and we could do it as a group. And that's just something that I'm going to throw out there and see if anybody wants to take us up on that. And then, the motivation, I think, is what I'm looking for, being able to have something that we can be accountable for. I can, if it wasn't for this property that I'm taking care of now, I would still think I'd want to be hiding from the heat. But I am so excited. I've never walked so much in the last 2 years as I have, probably the last 5 years as I have in the yard. And I can get 6,000 steps just in my first, I call it the North 40, but it's like the first acre that's like coming into the property. I mean, I did over 6,000 steps, and I was just out there picking up twigs the other day and bending and standing, and I came in drenched and did a little tree trimming and stuff out there. And even though I wasn't power walking, I was getting a heck of a workout, and I had the sore muscles to prove it. So I'm loving the forced exercise, but I'm also scared to death that I'm going to have a bloody heart attack out there, because I'm not used to being in the heat. I'm not used to doing physical labor and hauling down tree limbs and using my chainsaw and dragging stuff from one end of the property to the other. I'm not used to any of that. And so I have to also be consciously aware of safety measures and not overdo it, because I'm going to be here by myself when Justin gets his train station assignment where he's going to be going to do his new job. I'm going to be here by myself for the next 6 weeks. So it's going to be kind of a challenge for me to keep up with that. I do have a recipe to share with you today. And in looking for that recipe, I noticed that we skipped over to Marcus from the guest speakers that we're supposed to be on today. And their video is a little bit longer. So I'm going to give you the option of me posting it separately for you to watch during the week. Then we can talk about it next week, kind of like we did with the the ladies from Canada talking about the Mary's Mini, because that was about an hour and a half interview, and it was just go, 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 and it just flew by. But an hour and a half is a long time to be on one of our calls like this. Marcus was shorter. He was about 30 minutes or so. But the one that I did with the ladies the other day, they are doing what I call necessity training. They have gone viral. It's a lady that I've known for quite some time, but her and her friend are teaching back to the basic life skills of everything from gardening, canning, lots and lots of canning, how to clean without using chemicals. It is just the funnest webpage and YouTube channels that I've come across in a long time. And because I know Emmeline and got to meet her friend Marie, I'm just really excited to share them with you. So based on that subject matter, because we're going to tour her garden, we're going to see their canning rooms, we're going to talk about different ways to do different things that are life skills, including they've got these reusable, I'm going like this because that's what they did. They're the little flat parts of the canning jars that you cannot find. They like are off the shelves. You can get the rings, but you can't get the little discs that have like a one-time use. If you can them and they seal down, once you broke that seal, you can't use them again. Well, lo and behold, somebody has put their head together and they have invented a way to have these lids that you could reuse. And they offer that through their website and different things like that they market to. So based on the fact that it's about an hour plus long video, do you guys want to do as part of next week's show, or do you want me to post it for you to watch independently? Anybody still there?
I might like to see it on my own time.
Okay, all right. And then make sure you jot down some things so we can talk about it next week. So I would definitely like to talk about it, maybe pop back into their website or something. But I got out of sequence and it's like, wow, Marcus was right there. And I clicked on it. I was like, wait, where'd that other people go? So, but I do have a really quick, it's about 4-minute long video of making rice milk for you today. And I may never buy milk again. I have been doing pumpkin seed milk for over a decade, and I loved it. But on the starch solution, I can't do the pumpkin seeds because they're too high in fat content. That milk recipe was 73% plant fat, 18% protein, and 9% carbohydrate. Just the opposite of what we're trying to accomplish with the starch solution. And so I hadn't been doing that. And I loved that milk. It was so easy and so affordable to make. Well, I just got even cheaper because when you can make rice milk with rice that you're making anyway. And what I did this week is I'm hitting about day 20 on the Mary's Mini. I haven't weighed since the fiasco of weighing, that first week. I'm trying to avoid that. I'm just kind of watching my waist beads kind of fall down and enjoying that and having the energy again. But because I've been doing potatoes for so long, I still love them. I absolutely still love them, but I want to keep loving them. And so as you watch the two ladies talking about from Canada, they were talking about their Mary's Mini and how there was a time there where they just wanted to, shoot some potatoes. They were like, they were done and over the potato thing. I don't want to get there. So since I'm doing this for another 6 weeks, I decided to switch over to a rice mini. And so I did some brown rice today, and I want to show you this milk recipe and talk about it for a second. Okay. Yes,
I have a question.
Yeah.
So is almond milk not something I'm supposed to be drinking?
So I do get the unsweetened almond milk, and that's what I have been using, but I've been using it sparingly because if you notice on the side of the box, I don't have one here for you, but it'll have like 2.5 or 3.5 grams of fat per serving, per 1 cup serving. You remember that?
I'm gonna look to see because I didn't know. I mean, I was thinking that it was all good.
Yeah, so some of the brands have no added oil to them. They're just the natural fat that's in the nut themselves. some of the other brands, they've added, canola oil or something to it just to get that thick kind of texture that they wanted in milk. And it's like, I've been trying to avoid that. So I thought, well, what the heck, why don't I just try making some milk? And, you can strain it. As you'll see in my glass, I'm going to show you here in a second. I've let it sit here on purpose to separate. I don't strain mine. And I didn't do that with the pumpkin milk either. I just shook it up because that kept it creamier, a little bit thicker. But I want every ounce of the fiber, and the brown rice in particular, you're going to get a wonderful amount of fiber. In fact, I looked it up this week. If you were to eat a potato with its skin on, you're going to get 3 grams. In a medium potato, you're going to get 3 grams of fiber. Okay. With the skin off, you're only going to get 2. White rice, a cup of white rice is about 2 grams of fiber, whereas the brown rice increases to 4. So you get like double the amount of fiber in a cup of brown rice as you would white rice or a white potato. And so because bowel movements are so important to everything that we're doing, and getting that flow going and not getting blocked up and not having dietary issues, I've really been watching to increase my fiber content through my green vegetables. Broccoli is your number one high go-to. What was the other one? Green peas was another high fiber content. There's several ways to kind of monitor that, but you're going to want to try to get about 13, 15, 18 grams of fiber a day. That's the only thing I ever ask my clients to keep track of. I don't give a rat's rump about calories on the starch solution. I just want your plate to be half vegetables and half starch, okay? A whole grain type starch, or potato, rice, whole grain pastas, things like that. Quinoa, beans, lentils, things like that. But I don't give a rat's rump about how many calories you're eating, because you're going to eat to satiation. So I've started with a smaller plate. I used to have big plates. My family has big plates, but I went to the cuter, smaller plate, and that's my plate. And I'm doing just perfectly fine with those smaller portions and eating slower. You're going to laugh, but I eat most of my meals off of a baby spoon. No joke, because it's little teeny tiny bites. And in my mindset, it's always been about quantity, not quality. So if I'm hungry, and I'm starving, I want that hand and mouth thing going on. It's a behavioral thing that I'm trying to deal with. But, if I have to, I'll blend it up and put it in a glass and eat it with a baby spoon, one dip at a time. And it keeps me entertained when my husband's trying to eat something else that I don't want to be part of, He loves popcorn, and he argues that it's a whole grain. But what happens to the density of the popcorn once it's fluffed and puffy? You can eat bags and bags and bags and bags and bags full of it. But if you were to sit down and eat a can of corn, for example, or a corn on the cob, you're about one and done. Corn's a whole nother subject, because anything that goes in your body and comes out looking exactly the way it came in, that's not necessarily your food. Your body's not designed to break that down unless you chew it to pieces up here. That's where digestion happens. Your stomach is just a contributor. It's helping with the digestion, but it's not to replace what you're doing with your mouth and getting that down as small as you can. So that being said, let me show you this recipe for the brown rice milk, and then we can talk about it for a second. Go back over here, and we're going to go back to my channel. I've got so many other videos here, and a lot of these interviews we're doing, I've got them separately listed too. So you could actually watch the girls with the Mary's Mini by themselves, not having to do it in the class, or like, here's Marcus by himself, and so on. If you want to see our new little travel trailer we just got, I'm in love with it. It's so adorable. I want to rent it out as an Airbnb on my property when it comes back. It's that cute. All right, so here we are. This is the brown rice recipe here. All right, everyone, this is going to be a super quick video on teaching you how to make homemade brown rice milk that tastes as good as horchata and is better for you than even buying almond milk. There's no added fat from the nuts. There's no added sugar from the store-bought brands. I mean, it's just going to be a fantastic way for you to save money on making milk at home. Okay, to the blender, I've only added 32 ounces of water, which is going to be about half of what we're going to be making. Do you hear that kitty cat? I have a kitty cat in my house. I let her in. It's okay, baby. Anyways, we are going to blend it with 32 ounces and then dilute it as needed. So to that, we're going to add just a teaspoon of vanilla. We're going to add a tablespoon of cinnamon. This is the ground organic cyan cinnamon. And then instead of sugar or anything like that, we're going to just give it a nice little squirt of maple, probably about a tablespoon's worth. And then we're going to add just 1 rounded cup of brown rice. Now this is brown rice that I got at the store, and you'll see it's just the local brand brown rice, 100% whole grain brown rice. And I love this part right here. You can see from the ingredients here that it's just long grain brown rice. That's it, period. And so nothing's been added. As opposed to when I originally was going to make it, I was going to grab one of my husband's instant ones that he heats up quite often. It comes in these little containers, and we don't have a microwave, but he would heat it on the stove. But if you notice, it doesn't just contain rice. It also has water, brown rice. It's got sunflower oil, sea salt, sunflower lecithin as an emulsifier. So all these things that it's added, let me see if I can get that in the screen there for you. You can see it. If I can see that right there across the bottom, you'll see that it's not just pure rice. That explains the 3 grams of fat per serving, and that's just a little tiny 1 cup serving. So we're going to do it our way. So we're going to put the lid on and give it a good blend. All right. Okay, let's see how that turned out. Nice and fluffy, I can tell already. Look at that, frothy even. And then we're going to dilute it by adding additional, and I use of course the alkaline water, up to the 64 ounce or a little higher to get a good consistency here. And then we can just give that a little bit of a pulse swirl like this. It's the lowest setting. Blend that together, and voila, we have milk. So I am really excited to share this with you and to be able to save pennies. I've been making pumpkin seed milk for years, but because of the no fat thing, it was 73% plant fat, so it was too much to lose weight. And then the almond milk is getting kind of expensive, and it's got all these other things in it. So I'm just really excited to be able to have this. Let me see what it looks like in a pretty glass. Get that for you. I'm just going to pour it into a little glass right here for you. Look how clear and beautiful that is. That would be delicious on cereal, or like with the whole food plant-based diet we're doing right now. Of course, we're not doing processed cereals, but we are doing, you know, rice for breakfast and things like that. Let's taste it. Tastes fantastic. All right, enjoy. Okay, so stop sharing. So that came out, as you saw, just a little bit watery. So I did go back, and in the recipe that you'll actually see at the bottom of the YouTube channel, it'll actually show that I use 2 cups of brown rice, cooked brown rice. It works out to be about 1 cup of cooked rice to 32 ounces of water. And I've let it sit here this whole time, and it's separated. Okay. So what you're seeing here is the milky portion. You've got some of the cinnamon and some of the pulp from the rice down here. And it just swirls and smooths up just real fine. And it's back to normal again, and I can drink that. because the sediment, the fiber is going to float to the bottom, and it's not as thin. It's not as thin and watery as it was before, and it's got such a great taste. Sam and I are here in Texas, and horchata is a thing, and it's basically the sweet rice cinnamon milk that they sell at the Mexican restaurants, like every Mexican restaurant. It's just fabulous, but it is so full of sugar. It is so not on the program as well. Dr. McDougall would say he'd rather have you the sugar in the horchata than not have the rice, but that it's just a lot. So being able to control it in my own home and know that the only sweetener I have in here is that little shot of maple. I mean, literally for that whole thing. And it's just the perfect flavor. I mean, just sitting here, just swirling it like that. Oh yeah, that's like horchata in a cup. So then I could pour that over top of my rice for breakfast or as a dessert kind of thing. I could use it for anything that was in a sweet version. Now, if I didn't want to use it for that, if I wanted to use it for soups and make it savory, I would just use the rice and water and skip the cinnamon and skip the vanilla and skip the syrup. So it would just be rice and water, and I could use that to add to like soups or, my potatoes and make a potato soup or rice soup or noodle soup or anything like that. You can use it for any of those things. So any questions on the milk video? Y'all are just absorbing like sponges today. All right. All right. So I don't want to keep you too long. It's already 3:30 our time here. But this week, let's make it a good week. Let's get the opportunity to do something. Is anybody else still doing the mini with me? Potato, rice, any of those things? Anybody doing one of those? Because you can
I'm
mix
sort
it
of
up.
doing a
just
potato
see-
one.
What, Carolyn?
I'm sort of doing a potato one.
Okay. All right.
Most of my, majority of my meals are potatoes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I did sprout some potatoes in my house, and I was supposed to go plant them in the garden this morning. When I opened up my container where I'd been sprouting them, some of them went a little moldy. So I've got a question out to my gals that I was telling you about that are, the excellent gardening, canning people, and ask them if I can still use them or do I have to start over and resprout some. So, but yeah, we are excited about being able to grow and have our own potatoes, be a little self-sustaining. And my daughter said the other day, we were chatting, she says, I'm coming to your house if there's an apocalypse. And I go, well, that was the point, to have a place that they could come if there was an apocalypse, So anyways, any other questions, you guys? Anything else I can help you with this week? Want to do that? What's that song? Diane, start singing for me. Dun, 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 dun.
Wait. That's me.
There's one.
Yes. Question. Okay. Yeah, I guess I really need to get the book. And but yeah, so so the almond milk that I get has 3 grams. Don't even look at stuff anymore because so apparently 3 grams of fat on the sugar-free almond milk or whatever it's called.
So let's do the math. What's the calories per serving?
Because
it's 20% of the calories.
30 calories.
So 10% of 30 would be 0.3, 0.6, double it twice. So 0.6 would be the fat content for that, but you've got a 3.0. That's like what, 100 times or 10 times more than that? It's a math thing. Jojo, help me out. Okay. My brain just exploded. But anyways, you're supposed to take the calories and 20% of that with a decimal, and that tells you how much. So if it was, say, for example, 100 calories, you could have 2.0 grams of fat because it's 20% with the decimal. So that is more fat. Now look at your milk box, Sam. Is it showing oil as one of the ingredients at all?
No.
It's not. So it's just coming from the nuts. So For me, I had to really stop with the almond milks because I thought, well, maybe that's why I'm not losing as fast as I thought I should, you know. But I'm anxious to see what this rice milk does this week.
Well,
since-
there's nothing that says oil. Okay, in the ingredients, it says filtered water, almond milk, filtered water, almonds, tricalcium phosphate, sea salt, gelatin gum, sunflower lectin,
Is it
locust
thickener
bean
and emulsifier?
gum,
Okay.
vitamin A, palmitate, I don't know.
But no
something
oil
else.
listed. They've got the
Yeah.
soy lecithin, which makes it an emulsifier. It thickens it up a little bit.
Yeah, there's no oil
yeah.
that
So there's
says
no actual oil.
IL.
Like,
No.
Okay. All right. So we've been using that. I know Dr. McDougall uses that. It's like the Diamond brand, you know, the unsweetened almond. We're not buying the sweetened version, or you'd have like buku sugars. Okay, that's the great value in from Walmart.
Yeah.
So you should be fine. You should be fine. But I just wanted to try this to see if I could and see if it made a difference and if it added more fiber without, you know, anything else. It's very filling. It's like almost counting like a meal. If I threw some greens in there, I could call it a smoothie. But yeah, I'm just gonna see it. We'll see if it works. But if it does, by golly, I don't think I'll have to buy milk again because that's so dang cheap. You know, those boxes are getting like what are they, $4 a piece now? And if you buy the big ones, and then it's like 2 for $4 if you get the box kind like those. They're not as expensive, and they have a great shelf life because of their packaging. They can actually sit on the shelf and be in your food storage for indefinite, you know, lengths of time. Watch your dates though. I have learned that we have to rotate. And so we were like trying to like down a whole bunch of Dr. McDougall vegetable soup that I got at the beginning of the pandemic that was starting to expire this month. So we ate a bunch of his vegetable soup here just recently. So got to get some more. So anyways, all right, I will let you guys go. Any other questions for me, Diane, Jojo, anybody? Good to go? I gotta bring my ball in here so I can bounce while I'm talking to you. All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Love y'all, and we'll see you again next week. And I will post those ladies up. I'll get them uploaded, and you can watch it. Great information, whether you're canning or anything, just them talking about the stuff that they do and the things that are available and why they eat certain foods and stuff like that. Oh, it's just really powerful. So I think you'll enjoy that. All right, guys, talk to you soon, and we'll see you next week.
Have a great
Bye, y'all.
one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.